amid concerns about division within the ruling All Progressives Congress and the presidency's lack of support for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate of the party. President Buhari last week declared Tinubu as the next president of Nigeria. Speaking in Lafia, the Nasarawa state capital, at the APC Presidential Campaign rally, Buhari assured Nigerians and the people of Nasarawa state that the APC presidential candidate will be a good president who will make the country better after him. This latest development in the APC has put to rest the allegation by the Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai that some persons within Aso Rock, the seat of power, were working to frustrate Tinubu's victory at the forthcoming general election. Joining us now on this show is Dr. Nicolas Felix, Deputy National Youth Coordinator of the Presidential Campaign Council of the APC. Good morning, Dr. Felix. Thank you for joining us. Before I go on, what's the best way to describe you? Dr. Felix or Pastor Felix? Because I understand you're also a pastor. Okay, very fine.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. Well,
good to be here.
President Buhari in Nasarawa over the weekend described the presidential candidate of Nigeria, of the APC, as a competent Nigerian who has his support, and I think that he says he thinks he will be the best deal for Nigeria. But there have been reactions to that. The most prominent being that of Honorable Yakubu Dogara, former Speaker of the House of Representatives, saying that he knows that President Buhari likes to crack jokes. But at this time around, by recommending Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has taken jokes, comedy, to the highest level of satire. Okay? I know somebody in your party has already responded to that, but what do you think? Is the president just being satirical? Is he just being, gracious?
Once again, thank you for having me on your show this morning. And I don't think we expect anything less from the opposition party. The president went on a campaign trail. That was not a comedy center. That was not a comedy stage. He went on a campaign trail and he campaigned for our presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. To think that he was joking, I don't think Muhammadu Buhari is a comedian. I don't know how much jokes I've heard him shared recently. But I think he meant what he says. If you know Muhammadu Buhari very well, you know he's very keen. Several times he has said Nigerians should vote for the best. He has said that on a campaign trail. He has said that that's his style of politics. And for him to come out categorically stating that Asiwaju is going to be the best, it means it is not a joke. If it does not, Muhammadu Buhari will not say it. So to come out and say this is a joke, it tells you the mindset of these people. This is a serious election. Nobody is joking here. We are campaigning, and we know Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to be the best president and is going to deliver if elected.
All right, Dr. Felix, I'd like you to just speak about this thing going on about internal wranglings within the APC, that there's some people who are deliberately trying to sabotage the chances of your presidential candidate of being president come 25th February. Indeed, Governor Nasir El-Rufai had said that there was a cabal in the Aso Villa who were derailing, I use that loosely, my own words, the president through advising him on policies that were not good for the nation in order to scuttle the chances of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu emerging as president. In fact, they're saying that they're supporting another candidate from another party. Can you clarify this, please?
I'll speak on this in two angles. First of all, in any organization, whether family or business, large or small, there are bound to be crises. There are bound to be, issue here and there. That's why sometimes even in your mouth, your teeth will bite your tongue. But that doesn't mean this is the end. I won't doubt what El-Rufai says. He's a governor. He's somebody who's close to the villa, close to the president. For him to come out on national TV and state categorically that there are people in the villa who is trying to sabotage the chances of our presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I believe he has some concrete information to have said this. So I won't doubt him, but I'm glad he didn't mention names because that would have caused some uproar and some more confusion. Right now, what we're trying to do as a party is to resolve the crisis. But to think that there are no people here and there, even at the local, national level, who will be feeling otherwise, I think we'll be deceiving ourselves. These are bound to happen. Issues will take place. Issues will happen. But the ability for us to resolve it, and that's why you saw the president here on Saturday endorse Asiwaju, made it very clear categorically that he is in full support. There may be one or two persons out there who may want to scuttle the chances of our candidate of winning the election by raising policy. Look at it right now. Even though this policy of the Naira redesign and the fuel scarcity was not caused by our candidate, there's every chance that people will be angry with the party APC. At the end of the day, how is that going to affect us? This is the wrong time for these things to be done. So I want to believe he has some concrete information. I have no doubt that he does. But I'm glad the way it's been handled for peace to reign in the party and in the nation.
So why are you happy that Nasir El-Rufai didn't mention names? Because a lot of people are saying it was good for him to mention names, not just come and stare the hornet's nest. Because he went on 4 different media houses, which a lot of people say, why didn't he put that same energy into the insecurity in the states? That's one. Number 2, you talk about the policy. A lot of people are asking, why is that it's only your party that is crying over the policy? I mean, Peter Obi supported the policy, Atiku Abubakar supported the policy, the other 2 front runners. Why is that your party is also crying about the policy? What is it that really affects your party about this policy?
Okay, 2 things. The first question, as regarding why he didn't mention me. You must, as a leader, you must understand crisis management. He has an information of some people in the villa who's trying to scuttle this election. Wisdom demands that you don't come out with those names, causing sin. I'm sure if you bring those names, we will not have time to campaign. We'll be distracted in this election. So that's why I'm glad he did not. After the election, he can go ahead and say whoever they are. But now we need all the attention. We want to focus on this election. So wisdom demands that he did not mention, and I'm glad he did not. Number 2, you see, this policy does not just affect APC. I'm sure as a journalist, you've been seeing the outrage, the pain, the suffering of the average Nigerian on the street. This is not just about APC. This is about us, the common Nigerian. Things are getting more difficult. The average Nigerian cannot even withdraw money, even to transfer. For the past 3 days, I've been trying to make a simple transfer. I've not been able to. Why? Because I'm sure a lot of people are trying to do internet transfer, and the networks are very bad. So this is something all of us should be angry about. It's the wrong time. And we are not against the Naira bill design, but there are procedures. Right now, I brought this to show you. This is the old dollar bill. This is the new dollar bill. When the new one was redesigned, America did not put the policy to just get rid of the old one in just a few days. Gradually, this is going off circulation. Take this to the bank, gradually they take it off. You have to be able to put policies that will not affect the average Nigerian. For you to come out and give just 90 days, and even the new Naira is not available. So this policy is wrong at the wrong time.
Okay, real quickly, I would like to ask you, please, have you read the CBN Act? Have you taken out time to read the CBN Act? Because you said they just give just 90 days. Do you know that that is what is stated in the CBN Act? Those are what is as enshrined in the laws of the land. So no law has been broken here.
Why 3 months to the election? The CBN governor had the whole of last year to do this. He had January 2022 to have started this. For him to wait few days to the election, this is the wrong time. If anybody is telling me that this is right, I don't know what to say. We have an election coming up. Now think about it. There was riot in Ibadan. There was riot in Edo State. Is it the best time to do this? Now, if these riots continue, are we going to have an election? The answer is completely no. So what we are saying, this is the wrong time. They could have done it another time. If you like, it gives 10 days. But to be doing this few weeks to the election, I think that's what we are complaining about. Now, this complaint is not just because we are APC. Every Nigerian is suffering out there. I'm sure you know it.
Well, Dr. Felix, let me ask you. Last year, during the APC presidential convention primaries, you stepped down, right? And 2 basic reasons have been adduced for the reason you did so. One, that you thought Oshibajo was the best man for the job. And second, that you do not support the idea of a Muslim ticket. Now you are the National Youth Coordinator Deputy National Youth Coordinator of the same Muslim ticket that you said you objected to. So What changed? Why are you so contradictory in terms of your choice?
I'm not contradictory. I will deal with it in two angles. Number one, I participated in the primary election. And you understand, during the primaries, you go out there and you campaign. No matter how good your opponents are, you give your own reasons why you think you're the best. If there are ways to fault the other candidates, the other opponent aspirants, you do so during the primary election. I've witnessed election in several countries. This is what happened. Now, at the end of the day, I felt Osinbajo was the best candidate for me because we had very limited time for us to go out and campaign and meet the delegates. So we deemed it fit to be able to join forces with somebody, especially that we know will give chances to the youth. And during that time, Osinbajo was the only person I had the opportunity to meet. We sat down, we discussed, and that's how we supported him. However, after the primaries, I'm a Democrat. The fact that my candidate did not win, the fact that my choice did not emerge, does not mean now the next person who won cannot deliver. I beg to differ. 1,271 delegates thought otherwise. If that huge amount of delegates thought that Asiwaju is the best candidate, I think every person who is democratic enough will sit down and ask themselves, why did this man win at such a great number? Why do 1,271 delegates choose him? It means there's something I'm missing here. And that's how we began to find out what was going on about Asiwaju. Why did they choose him when I thought Osinbajo was the best candidate? As a Democrat, it's not time for me to be angry and leave the party. Just the same way, if Labour Party and PDP, Asiwaju becomes president, that doesn't mean now you are going to leave the country. What every Nigerian who is patriotic will do is to join hands with the current administration to support for the good of the country. And that's what we do. In terms of the Muslim ticket, yes, first of all, I thought it was best for a Christian to emerge as the candidate. Why? The northern governors came together and said power must go to the south. And if you listen to my speech very well on that day, I gave them kudos for that. And till today, I respect them for that act. I also felt that if power goes to the south, it should be the turn of a Christian and not a Muslim. But again, delegates thought otherwise, and they voted for Asiwaju as the candidate. Now it is my responsibility to join him to campaign. Now, I did not just do this. I did it after several meetings with him. If you follow me carefully, after the election, I was mad about the Muslim ticket. I came on AIT, I said it. I went on several stations, and I said it that I'm against it. But I had to sit down. There's a parable in Nigeria. They say, I will the Christ in his Europe. In as much as we are sharing tears as Christians, we have to also see. We have to be able to examine what is going on. After several meetings with him, I discovered this man is not our problem. Asiwaju is not a religious bigot. It's not somebody who is trying to Islamize Nigeria. So that's why I joined support with him, because I know going beyond just the issue of Muslim ticket is the best man for this job at this time.
All right, thank you, Dr. Felix. So beyond the Muslim ticket, which you were so, very adamant about that you wouldn't support during your campaign, you also talked about the fact that the reason why you stepped down for the Vice President, Professor Osinbajo, was because his vision for Nigeria aligned with yours, particularly in terms of youth empowerment, the economy. I'd like you to just share with us some of the similarities, because I want to believe that you ran based on your convictions beyond party faithfulness, and so to see where these align, with your own views. And then the second part of my question would be just taking you back to the Naira redesign. Now, your party, the APC, is, and as you've spoken as speaking on their behalf, is not for this Naira redesign in terms of the number of days or time given to Nigerians in terms of notice. However, the president, who is also in your party, has consistently supported the this Naira redesign policy. In fact, some governors of the APC went to see him last week to discuss, and he said he would give them a response in 7 days. So, he hasn't changed his messaging. So is there a disconnect with the president's views, or what he aligns with, and the party's views? And then how would the party manage that?
Okay. Firstly, in terms of my support for the vice president, if you follow me carefully, I've been an advocate for youth in governance. I've championed that cause for a while, and I will keep doing so, because the youth of this country has been greatly marginalized I think it's time for us to be on board, to get on board and be able to join in leading this country. So when I met with the vice president, he was very humble. He accepted me, we spoke, and several things took place that made me throw my heart for him. Now, as at that time, we couldn't meet with Asiwaju, so there was no chance of even discussing or even know what he supports or if he's going to be the candidate that is going to be youth-friendly, even though we've seen that, we've heard about how he has greatly supported people all these years. But I felt having a meeting one-on-one, because if I'm not convinced, I can't go. Having a meeting one-on-one would have been better. Since the opportunity was not there, it was, a landslide for us to go with the vice president. However, after the primary election, I had the opportunity, even though it wasn't right away, to meet with him several times. We went 4 different meetings. In the first few meetings, I allowed him to speak. I remember it was me, myself, and Adam Shumali and Asiwaju. We spoke at great length. They spoke. The second meeting, we spoke briefly. The third meeting, it was the 4th time I decided to open up. And, I explained my fears. Number one, as a pastor, I'm consigned with a Muslim ticket. You try to Islamize Nigeria. What is the idea? I'm sure there are Christians in the north who are as much capable, if not even more capable than Shatima. Told me categorically clear. Has he Islamized his home yet? His wife is currently a pastor. So I felt, yes, that makes sense. If you have not Islamized your home, are you coming to Islamize Nigeria? That's number one. Number two, I needed to make sure that he's going to be youth-friendly. We need youth in the cabinet. The past administration did not do as much when it comes to bringing youth on board in his cabinet. So I needed to be sure that you are the candidate who is going to make sure you carry youth at home, not just during the election, because apparently that's the only time they know us for. And he gave me his assurance. As at this time, the manifesto wasn't out. We spoke at great length. And if you read his manifesto, you will notice, I think on page 58 thereabout, he has promised to give 9 cabinet positions to youth, 3 to those under 30 and under 40, and 6 others to those under 50. So it's going to accommodate the youth. Now, if we don't have the opportunity to be elected as president yet, I believe we will be appointed. And he has the track record. Nobody can deny that. And this is a man that has empowered people all over the nation, from the north to the south. So that's why we pitch our tent with him. And I know he's going to do exactly what he has said. In terms of the Naira redesign, you see, one thing we must not fail to do when we speak of party, we must be able to separate party and administration. Yes, this president is APC president. It doesn't mean in governance, the party is carried along. When this issue of Naira redesign came, I'm sure the national chairman of our party was not consulted. I'm sure this was not discussed at the national party. It was an administrative issue where the CBN governor, I believe, gave his recommendation and the president bought into it. If you listen to Adam Tushuma yesterday, he made it very clear, and I believe him because he is somebody that has worked closely with the president, understanding that this president hates corruption. And if the CBN governor comes and says, if we are able to redesign this, it will curb corruption in this election, I'm sure that's why the president gave his go-ahead. I'm very sure the president did not say there should be a limited amount of the new Naira note in circulation. Nigerians will not have been crying if you go to the bank, you're able to withdraw your money. The issue is you took away the old money, and yet there are no new currency. That's where the problem is. If the new currency was out there, and people can go and withdraw their money and do whatever they want to do, nobody will be protesting. So you took away the old money, but yet there's no amount of circulation of the new currency. You don't do that. Nigeria is already going through economic turmoil, and yet you are bringing such strict policy few days to election. Look at me on your show. Instead of us to be discussing issue has to do with the economy of Nigeria, we're talking about now. Okay. This thing could have been done after May. It could have been done in June. It still will not affect us.
Okay, but other people too would like to ask that. Why is it that your party and your presidential candidate didn't see anything, a need to go visit President Muhammadu Buhari when there was 8 months of ASU strike and over 5 months of fuel scarcity? But why is it that this Naira redesign makes a difference? That's one. Number two, as a pastor, how do you feel, when you hear allegations against a presidential candidate like drug abuse, drug trade, narcotics, lots of things, certificate issue? Like, I'd even like to ask you, there's been discrepancies about age. How old is your presidential candidate? And what schools did he even go to? You know, and you're a pastor. What's your reaction to all of this?
This is like, I like the phrase you use, allegation. Yeah, he was not indicted. There are allegations all over the place. Right now, I'm sure you have seen a video trending about me that I'm the current presidential candidate of Zenith Labour Party, and that INEC organized, registered that party and positioned me there to help APC defeat Labour Party. It's going on all over the place. I've received so much phone call. That's an allegation. And I'm sure many people have hated me already just because somebody alleged. I'm not a presidential candidate. I went through in the primary election with APC. I never even heard so much about Labour Party. And they said I was positioned in 2019 by APC to defeat PDP. And yet I was with PDP. My party endorsed PDP in 2019. You know, so allegations are going to be all over this place. When I saw it, I looked at it. Everything was false about it. Many people called, including the Reverend Father. Some have left me insulting message, praying for me, praying for my family. They are insulting me that I'm positioned to go and, you know, help APC defeat Labour Party. That's an allegation. So if it's an allegation, I don't go by rumor. If INEC certify him, you must understand, I'm a Democrat. I believe in a nation where I've seen democracy played out. We went through a primary election, and this man emerged as a candidate. He went through the process of verification, and yet INEC verify him, certify him. If INEC think otherwise, they should have stopped him. The fact that INEC say you are qualified because your party presented you, there is no record for us to go back. I'm not going to join with people talking about narcotics, drugs, and all manner of stuff. Even as a pastor, I'm glad you mentioned it. Do you know how we get accused sometimes? This suit I'm wearing now, somebody will say it's church offering, I used to buy it. We get accused all the time. Does that mean now this exactly what people are saying is what we are doing? So we don't go by allegation. If they feel that this man have issue with drugs and all of that, I've lived in America. I'm telling you, American government will come after him. The fact that they keep putting out statements that there's nothing of that for this man, I don't think I should be worrying my head over such things. We have a presidential candidate. These are all distractions. But you understand that this is political season. All over the world, as great as America is, everybody complain when it's time for politics. No matter how good you are, somebody is going to find something to say. I'm smarter than that to be distracted by those false allegations all over the place.
And the first question I asked you, I said, why is that your party, didn't react when there was 8 months of ASU strike? Why did that your party, some of the governors didn't go see the president? Why is that they didn't go see the president when the 5 months of field scarcity start? I'm just asking that.
Now, the department who was involved in ASU strike, they were having meetings all the time with the president. Again, like I said, this is an election. They understand there is a sabotage. There are people who are trying to cause people to hate APC the more. That's why it is necessary for APC governors, those of us who are in politics, to join forces to understand that this is a strategy to distract people. They've complained about beavers. We are ready to go for the election. They thought we would be scared about beavers. Now they are looking for every means possible. This is an election season. You don't expect the governors to be running all over the place all the time when there's something going on. We have a department who is responsible for that, who stepped in. Several meetings, every day it was aired on TV. So the fact that the governors did not react, run to the president during that time does not mean they're only concerned about the election. No, it was important.
It wasn't important that school students were out of school for 8 months. It wasn't important for the governors to run to the president. Is that what you're saying?
No, it was important.
So why didn't they go? Why didn't they run to the president? Why didn't they go visit the president over the ASU strike?
I'm sure if
why didn't they intervene?
I'm sure if they come on your show, you can ask them. I'm sure we can put a call to them and ask them why didn't they go. I can't speak for them. I'm not a member of the governor forum, so I can't answer why didn't they go. But like I said, there's a need for them to react. You got to understand, I don't know if you are watching the news. What is going on out there is cause for every one of us to raise alarm. We cannot have Nigerians suffering. This is not about APC. The people are suffering. We need to be able to step in and intervene. This is the wrong time for this to be done.
Dr. Felix, yes. Before we go, when you now took the decision to join the APC Presidential Campaign Council and campaign for Tinubu, there was an initial complaint from you that, there was no attempt to integrate you and allow you to promote the interest of the youths of Nigeria. When did that change? Do you now have direct involvement? How involved are you? Those initial people that tried to shut you out? Have you now, made up with them? And do you have space in the campaign? Or you are just doing this so that you're as a personal effort on your own?
Now, thank you for that question. After the primaries, the presidential candidate went visiting some of the candidates, and I thought, would be nice to be visited. And understand, one of the reasons I went through with this primary election, even when the nomination fee was so high, was because I needed a youth representation. If you look at 2019, a lot of us came out to run for president. We went through the smaller parties with smaller nomination fee, and we began something that I thought should continue. So during this time, I noticed majority of us, apart from Showore, were not on board in this election. One of the reasons, I think, because a lot of the political parties were deregistered, now limited to just 18. I said we must have a youth representation. They cannot just silence us. That's why I went further. So after this, I expected to even be one of the first person to be reached out to, being the youngest, but that did not happen. I left the country 7 days after, needed to go and cool my head down. I kept waiting for that call. The phone call did not come. And that was why I will speak up if something is wrong. Let me make that very clear. Don't think because I'm a member of the APC, if an administration do wrong, I'm going to support them. I want you to know that I'm going to speak up. I have repeatedly stood on this show and said what this administration did not do well. So I raised an alarm, that the youth need to be carried along. And when I came back to the country, that was when myself and Asiwaju met. He did apologize at his age and at his level. He didn't have to. He apologized to me that it was an oversight, that he wanted to, but those who were making the arrangement and the schedule said I was out of the country. That was why they didn't reach out to, even though I left 7 days, not immediately. And as soon as he apologized, we let it go and we move on. I'm heavily involved in the campaign. I'm the Deputy National Youth Coordinator. I've been in so many of the campaign. I've spoken in some of the campaign. So if you're talking about getting involved, I'm heavily involved. This is not just me doing this to get involved. I'm the deputy in the national campaign, deputizing Governor Yahya Bello. So I'm involved in the campaign. The youth are carried along. And I'm sure this administration is going to be one that will benefit the youth. We need the youth to get on board so we'll be able to join in, getting ready for the next election. Now, let me make this clear. I'm looking beyond 2023. I'm looking beyond when a young person becomes the president during the next election. So we need to get involved and get prepared for that day.
Well, on that note, we'd like to thank you very much, Dr. Nicolas Felix, for joining us on the morning show today. Thank you.